I'd like to ask First Minister, morning First Minister, about the impact of fuel costs and the cost of living crisis on two aspects of health. One is the impact it's going to have on the provision of NHS services with regards to the increased costs that they face. And the other is on the health of our citizens and those presenting to our NHS and what the government's assessment of that is.
In terms of those two aspects, firstly, the increase in the cost of energy, clearly affects health boards because they have to pay the energy bills of hospitals and health centres. So as more of our health budget is taken up with paying rising costs of energy, then clearly that means there's less of that budget can be spent on frontline patient care. So it has a very, very direct impact. One of the issues we are still seeking clarity, well, I think we've got some basic clarity, at least I hope we do, but still seeking more detail on, is the extent to which the UK Government's announcement on help for businesses with energy costs covers hospitals and schools and other public buildings. We have had, I think, clarity that it will cover. I know that the Chancellor said that the Government will provide a price guarantee equivalent to the one provided for households for all businesses, and they have given us the indication that that includes schools and hospitals, but we've not yet seen any of the detail of that. So if that follows through into what we hope it will, then some of that impact is going to be mitigated. But as with businesses and individuals, even with those welcome schemes that have been announced, they're still going to be facing increases in the cost of energy. So that is a matter of concern. Secondly, which is also of significant concern, but I think this is going to be something that we need to monitor on an ongoing basis and will be multifaceted, is the impact, a bit like COVID in many respects, the impact of the pressure and the anxiety that will be felt by people will exacerbate mental health conditions, given that we are, and every time I say something like this, I still have to sort of remind myself that we are sitting here in supposedly one of the richest countries in the world talking about this, but growing numbers of people unable to afford to heat their homes, that is potentially going to feed through into physical illness too. So these are going to be added pressures for the National Health Service, for social care services that we need to work with the NHS and social care to both understand and to monitor and to ensure that as far as we can, we are supporting and equipping the NHS to deal with them.
Gillian Martin, I know you've got other issues you want to raise.
Well, I do have a follow-up question on this specifically. Last night, Sky News reported the former Bank of England Deputy Governor, Sir Charlie Bean, said that spending cuts of the UK Government announced last week, and this is quote, could finish the NHS. Now, obviously, he's talking about the NHS in England there. But I just want your response to that, because you read that and the spending cuts are affecting the Scottish budget as well, the Scottish situation as well. What is your response to that as leader of the Scottish Government?
First Minister.
I'm profoundly concerned by all of these things. We are working within a spending envelope right now, effectively determined at the last UK Government spending review. The UK Government appear to have indicated that they are not intending to open that. That was set at the time inflation was, I think, 3 or 4%. It's now, almost in double figures. So not to open that is eroding the budgets that we have right now. I set this out in the week we published the programme for government. The budget that we passed as a parliament at the start of this financial year is already worth £1.7 billion less than it was because of the effects of inflation. But there's an added effect here, going back to the unfolding economic crisis. In order to restore market confidence, in order to undo the damage that has been done, I think everybody looks at the situation and thinks that deep spending cuts on the part of the UK Government are going to be inevitable and inescapable. And that is profoundly concerning given the situation we are in. That affects all public services, but given the importance of the National Health Service and the share of the budget that the National Health Service relies on, then it is particularly worrying for it. I mean, and it's rightly and properly, regularly the topic of questioning and debate in this Parliament. The government I lead is absolutely rightly responsible for the performance of NHS Scotland, and I don't shy away from that. But the issues that we're grappling with in the NHS in Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, they're not just about how you manage the system. They are fundamentally about the need for a massive injection of both money and people to deal with the rising demand, to deal with the effects of COVID. And we have a fixed budget within which it is very difficult to respond to that in the way that we would want to, which is why we are reliant on the UK government not going down the austerity spending cuts route, but looking at the prospects over the next period. I don't think anybody can be anything other than very deeply and very profoundly concerned at what might lie ahead.